Join us for a review of the all-new top-of-the-line Porsche 911 Turbo S. Let's go! In the front, in general, the all-new 911 generation is 4.5 centimeters or about 2 inches wider. It's also become longer once again, so if you're more thinking of the idea of the original 911, well, that's the 718 Boxster or Cayman now. This one here now, more a grown-up GT. Well, in the 911 Turbo S, I mean, it does look somehow just like a normal 911 from the front. Of course, the styling in the lower area is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit bolder, but not too much of a change in the front. The length is now at 4 meters 52, 14'8" or 178 inches. And the 911 Turbo S comes with mixed wheels, also available for the other 911 versions, but that means 20-inch in the front and 21-inch at the rear. That's also the setup we have here at the moment. Looks really impressive then, and I think you can really take a look at that from this angle, you know, how the rear tires are bigger than the front ones. Here also with the ceramic brakes. Do you really need them? Yeah, that's also the thing about the whole car. As I said initially, no one needs it, everybody wants it. Of course, they look even more impressive, and it's also quite interesting that the wheels are being, you know, just tidy then. However, Porsche meanwhile also offers this, you know, special coating for the normal brakes that also have the same effect then. As usual, the difference here for the 911 Turbo or Turbo S, yes, there will also be a normal turbo version without the S later. Here you get this additional ring, which is again more aggressive or more cool looking, and it's also retractable. That's of course even fancier than in this case. Other than that, the new 911 generation gets this beautiful light strip that goes all over the width of the vehicle. That looks pretty impressive, really nice. The Turbo S writing is different from the 911 writing. The 911 writing itself looks a little bit like retro-like. I'm not really sure. I think it doesn't really fit to the rest of the Porsche letterings, or what do you think? Here then you can see also the badge 3.8 Turbo S, and yeah, what's the difference here? So the base 911 models come with a 3-liter 6-cylinder, flat engines, Boxer motor in German that would be, and either with the Carrera with 385 horsepower or in the S models with 450 horsepower. Here 3.8 liter of displacement, so higher displacement figure, with 650 horsepower in the S model. Acceleration figures to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour is then 2.7 seconds, and to 200 kilometers or 125 miles approximately hours, this one is then 8.9 seconds. So of course, true supercar figures as for that. What do you guys think? The typical front trunk, the trunk can be opened from the inside of the car, driver's door, or pressing the key. This is, by the way, the beautiful slim key right there in the 911 shape here with the strong shoulders and pretty light. Then we have this security opening right there, like this one. And then here we are, 135 liters, and you can see we at the moment have put a backpack first and then another trolley right there. And here we go with the new cockpit for the 911. The interior is not too different for the 911 Turbo S. I mean, we have the carbon fiber inserts here, but you can also get it for the normal models. Yeah, there we go. The steering wheel is actually pretty slim, or let's say a very compact steering wheel. Also different options available for that. Here also in all black. There's a drive mode selector directly at the steering wheel where you can select the different driving modes easily while driving. That's actually pretty cool. Headroom wise, by the way, when I put the seat in the lowest position, I usually put it a little bit up for the better angle. But here in the lowest position with 1.86 or 6.1, there's still a lot of head clearance left. And I mean, not too nice weather today here and pretty cold already again, but I'm already dreaming of the convertible version of this one. Welcome to the interior, guys, and the overview. Here again, this wrapped tightly design by Porsche with the horizontal stress. Very beautiful build quality here also with this carbon fiber tablet to serve food. No, of course, no one ever eats food in this car and not in my cars. Yeah, you know, the no food rule definitely applies here to this car, of course. Soon more details to the screens. Or we can tell you 10.9 inch on the right side, all-wheel touch. On the left side, analog dials, then with 7-inch TFT right and left. Then again, the compact steering wheel can be put in and out and also up and down. We have the shifting pedals right here. This one, of course, only available with the automatic gearbox. And some controls on the steering wheel, for example, also for the volume or then again for the driving mode, which is a pretty cool idea with the driving mode selector right here. If we more move towards the right side, below the infotainment screen, you have a programmable hotkey. This can be made on demand, whatever you want to have it. Then there's for the exhaust note, for the special valve. Here this metal knurling, this is good quality as well. The hazard lights, then off with the stability control. PDCC, that's the anti-roll or anti-roll control. You can activate or deactivate it. And depending on which driving mode you put in, for example, sport mode activates the exhaust note system. Sports Plus also puts out the spoiler and also activates the PDCC. Then even lower, what I found quite cool actually that we have the AC unit still manual and also nice clicking sounds. So put it warmer and also the vent strength, for example, and the volume knob, also nice clicking sound. So the main infotainment unit. Here, for example, you can see how when we pick the driving modes, the stuff is changing. Wet mode, by the way, is new with the new 911 generation. That is optimizing the stability control and the throttle input for wet situations on the road. Then with the sport mode, exhaust system gets activated. Sport Plus, also the spoiler, and everything is stiffened up. And individual, you can also plan everything as you like. This is done with the control knob at the steering wheel or when pressing inside. But of course, you would never do that while driving. You would always use it on the steering wheel. The climate unit can also be controlled here as for the vents where they should be coming from. This is not a separate button, or deactivate or activate the AC. This has to be done inside the screen actually. Now the instruments, the analog part in the middle. This is of course the impressive, the real important one with the digital speed. And on the left side, you can change what you want to see there actually. This, for example, here for the distance, assistance systems, allowed speed and so on. So that's right there. However, you see that the steering wheel does block the view when you have the straight view. And no matter how you put the steering wheel, it's always blocking something. Yeah. And then you can also switch it to the right side here and then control what you want to see there. For example, the stopwatch or the G-force meter or the all-wheel drive distribution. That's interesting to see or to watch while driving. And this is also the part where you can see more of the modes that are selected. Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge with the Porsche 911 Turbo S. We have to be a little bit careful because the road is wet, so sports mode is the only thing I will do. Sports Plus will be too much actually. We'll start with the acceleration. This one here, all-wheel drive of course, for the 911 Turbo S. And we'll do some rolling start just for, you know, a minimum amount of safety. And at 30 kilometers an hour, let's go. Plop, that's 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour, and yeah, about that. Wow. That was something. I mean, when you talk about sports cars and it's like you're getting pushed into the seats, yeah, I think that's what we did experience. So, wow. It would go up to 330 kilometers an hour, by the way, in top speed, but that's just suicide here on this short part of the motorway. But wow, and good noise insulation here also at higher speeds at 170 kilometers an hour. We have the ceramic brakes mounted here, by the way, so the thing is they have a very good enduring brake performance, but you have to get used to it because the brake pedal here is quite heavy, so to say, especially with the ceramic brakes, so they're not that responsive on soft brake pedal touch, so you really have to hammer them if you need better braking performance. Like on the technology level, they have the best braking performance, yes, but the throttle input, I think they could make it maybe a little bit more sensitive, I think. Wow, that was something. So now we're approaching the tunnel. In the sports mode, also the exhaust sound is getting boosted. 650 horsepower. It's barely enough, right? Couldn't they get more? Yeah, about that. So, Jonas, want to lower the window a little bit? Whoa, that's something. Yeah, quite a nice sound. I mean, we all know, yeah, we can put it up again. We all know the 911 in general is not known for the best sound overall. Other cars are better performing that one, like a Jaguar F-Type or something, but still, of course, pretty decent. And I mean, especially if you use the shifting pedals and shift down the gear. So here in the sports mode, you've seen in our acceleration, I was waiting for the kickdown of the car itself. But even more spontaneous it is when you use the shifting pedals, which give a very short and crisp feedback. And when you put it down to the second gear or something, it's like the acceleration is just there instantaneously. I mean, the only acceleration I could compare to this is, probably Tesla Model S in the, how's it, insane, ridiculous, lunatic. They have like the different stages of crazy modes. I think it was insane. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. Ludicrous. It's a ludicrous mode. Yes, the ludicrous mode indeed. It's just there's no. You feel that you would be moving the car through thin air. That's wow. And the cool thing is, some, let's say, supercars that are just built to be supercars, like the McLarens or something, you feel that you're driving a supercar, and then also with the disadvantages, that you somehow feel a little bit more cramped, a little bit lower, and not at times not so much in control. But the cool thing here about this supercar, and the 911 Turbo S is definitely a supercar, even though it's based on a normal 911, you feel a little bit more in control. You feel driving a little bit more like a normal car, So you could say that's TTS in front of us. You can challenge that, yeah. No, I mean, you could actually say you want it more extreme, also from the base feeling. Then you would need to get a McLaren or something. But here, this car is there to present you both possibilities, to have a normal 911 then for the normal driving and the supercar on demand. And wow, that's, really amazing. Oh, this TTS is really hurrying it. But of course we want to keep it at the speed limit. And then you can also put the cruise control if you like. Just relax again, for example, go back to the normal mode, and then you're all good. and then we'll pass the tunnel again. When we exit the tunnel, we can have one more acceleration out, which also goes in the slight corner. We can also test the stability then. And what's also interesting is when in a sport mode, the PDCC button is not getting activated. I can do that just singularly, and it's only being activated in Sport Plus. Then, by the way, there's also the extended spoiler, and we have less ground clearance. Cars also telling us that. But Sport Plus is really nothing you should use on public roads. So we want to be safe right here. But let me put in the PDCC, which is in this case then the anti-tilt or anti-roll control, which should give us a little bit more stability than here also on the road. So we switch back to the sport mode and have the PDCC on. Let's see how that one performs right here. And I use the shifting pedals now myself, go back to third gear for example, and then I can accelerate out, and the guys behind us are already awaiting what I'm doing now. Third gear, let's go. Whoa, holy moly. Wow, that's really super stable, wow. I mean, it's not even a little bit wet, and I mean, this car is hooking to the ground like glue. What the? This is incredible. It's like, I would be feeling, I'm really like, yeah, as I said, I'm absolutely hooked to the ground. 220 kilometers an hour at the moment. So now there's more traffic incoming, so we reduce speed. Always safety first here, of course. Always when we test performance cars. Wow. That's quite something. So when I put that off the PDCC, but I mean, really seems to be like making even more stability right there. So that was quite interesting. Take here and then stick to speed limit once again. Wow. I mean, this is really this, not in a technology sense hybrid, but hybrid in a meta sense. This car can be taken to any racetrack of the world at any time and serve like a GT3 RS or something. And then you switch back to normal mode and it becomes your normal 911 Carrera, This is really what this car makes special. So, yeah, really quite impressed. And I think this, this span actually, this is also what they did here with the new generation, that this span is like even wider, basically in both directions of the comfort and sportiness. And now you know it from our true sports car episodes, riding up the hill, Pikes Peak. No, not Pikes Peak, but Thomas Peak. I don't know. So let's go up here. And the steering here, wow, it's really so crisp, but not too hard. You see that commands are directly controlled into the road. Everything, oh yeah. So I'm living here, so I'm going back to the normal mode. Exhaust is tuned down. This also gives you the variety of this car. I'll wait until we pass the next house, because, even if someone appreciates nice exhaust notes, probably don't want to have them in your living room or in your garden. So, houses are passed. Now back to the sports mode. A little bit more throttle input. Here again, the steering input is almost the same degree as the corner itself. This is really one of the most perfect steering feelings here in this case. This is really amazing. Directly at the throttle, nice acceleration, but very smooth as well. All-wheel drive, giving a good distribution, but still a rear-wheel bias, definitely notable. Now the shifting pedals, back to second gear. Now there will be a very sharp left corner, back even to first gear. Of course, not switching the rear around, because with the stability control set, all-wheel drive still giving me some more rear boost that I can get around the corner. A lot of fun to drive this here, and depending on the throttle input, you can really vary between nice and calm driving again and being a little bit more extreme. So I find the setup here for this supercar actually better than with the separately built supercars. That's what I think, because it's more suitable for, let's say, more situations. But what's your take? And now to the conclusion for today with the all-new Porsche 911 Turbo S. Well, in general, they are of course more comfortable cars than a 911, but the cool thing here about the 911 Turbo S is it's one of the most comfortable supercars. And yes, it's definitely a supercar, even though it doesn't have like this typical uniquely built supercar look, but performance-wise and what it delivers, it's definitely a supercar. Also price-wise, with a fully spec of this one, almost €250,000 or dollars, you know, with some more bells and whistles and so on. Yeah, like you can already get something, you know, at like €210,000 or something, but there's even, you know, a lot of options still left for this one. Exterior-wise, still, I mean, so beautiful with this typical Porsche shapes, and I think it's still somewhat subtle, not too extreme. Some would have wished a more extreme rear wing, for example, but I really like the approach to be a little bit more drawn back, and this is also what this car really stands for. Yes, it has some dramatic sporty elements, but it still can be driven as a normal 911, and then on demand it becomes this screaming out supercar once again. And I think that's also what's cool, what they've achieved here with this very generation, that the span between this being normal 911 and being the true supercar is even wider, and everything, you know, into both directions, they have enhanced this feeling. Interior build quality is also very good now. Talked about that earlier, that in some of the very early 911 models had here and there something where say, oh yeah, you really need to tweak that, but that's quite often with all new generations, that the first build cars that are built are maybe, you know, missing something here and there. This one was actually quite good in here today. Yeah, and then remember to get it with a Sport Tech seat for better climate comfortable seating and also making it a little bit more animal friendly. But Porsche is also going in the right direction there finally with, for example, the interior the Taycan is also offering. Well, then the riding, of course, spectacular acceleration. And I was most impressed actually by the feeling how the car is really hooked to the ground, you know. This is like you feel there would be endless traction. That's to me, I think, one of the most impressive feelings again. Yeah, and then this compromise between sportiness and comfort. Of course, 911 has a little bit stiffer setup here in the Turbo S version, yes. But still, for a supercar again in this segment, this was definitely very impressive. Well, interesting impressions here today with our supercar review from the 911. Please also tune in to the other 911 episodes. We've been on a racetrack, for example, with the S versions. Brian took out the convertible as well, and we'll all link them down in the video description and in the pinned comment. So I would say, see you there or at one of our all-new reviews of all new cars. Thank you so much for tuning in and stay healthy. Wish you all the best. See you soon.